Hey guys, Erwin with ALFA Coaching here, and today we're going to talk about tempo training and specifically why I like to use tempo training with beginners. So, a couple things first. For tempo training, some of the whys that I like to use it for beginners. Number one is control. Tempo training allows me to control a beginner's movement. Number two, it allows me to have a beginner start to learn the movement. Number three, for new beginners, typically what I see is that they don't have a lot of movement control within a certain movement pattern. So it allows me to teach them some motor control. It allows them to acquire the skill, and it allows them to learn some of the mechanics of the movements. Number four, it allows them to create some time under tension. What I mean by time under tension is that it allows them to move through the movement through certain muscle contractions that we're going to talk about. And then in those muscle contractions and in those time under tension, it allows them to develop strength within the movement itself. Now, in tempo, we have 3 muscle contractions that we go through. A lot of people think that with tempo, most of the movement is just going slow, but with the muscle contractions that we actually try to control within tempo are the concentric action, which is actually just the shortening of the muscle. In layman's terms, all that means is the rising of the movement. So if you think about a squat and a pull-up, in a squat, the concentric movement would be standing up. In a pull-up, the concentric action would be pulling yourself over the bar. With its eccentric action, it is the lengthening of a muscle. What that is, think about that as the lowering or the negative portion of a movement. So the lowering of a movement, think about the squat going down in a squat. With a pull-up, think about lowering down from the pull-up bar. And then we have the isometric contraction. The isometric contraction is a fixed position. So if I'm thinking about a isometric contraction, I'm thinking either staying at the bottom of the squat or holding myself at the top of the pull-up. All right. So we talked about why we want to use tempo and why I like using it for beginners. Control, movement learning, motor control, time under tension, and skill development. Let's talk about how you're going to read tempo. So typically tempo is going to be written in a fashion here. I'm looking at it as these numbers right there. If I look at a squat, I'm going to write my repetition range, 10 reps at 3, 2, 1, 1 times 3 sets. If I'm looking at a pull-up, I'll write 5 reps at 3, 1, 1, 1 by 3 sets. The way I'm going to read this, I'm always looking at the first number as being my eccentric movement. So in a squat, that's going to be 3 seconds lowering. The second number, I'm going to read as the isometric contraction. In a squat, that's going to be 2. I'm going to lower down for 3, and then I'm going to hold at the bottom position for 2 seconds. The concentric action is going to be the third number. That's going to be a 1, which means I'm going to stand up for 1 second. And then the isometric contraction at the top is going to be the last one, and that just means me pausing at the top for 1 second. So if I'm looking at a squat, 10 reps at 3, 2, 1, 1, I'm going to lower down for 3. I'm going to hold for 2 seconds. I'm going to come up for 1 second, and I'm going to hold for 1 second at the top. All right? If I'm looking at the pull-up, I'm going to read the numbers the same way. The only difference is that I know that a pull-up, I start the movement with the pull, which is going to be the concentric action. So I'm going to pull up for 1. I'm going to hold at the top for 1 second. I'm going to lower down for 3 seconds. And I'm going to hold at the bottom or pause at the bottom for 1 second before I make the next rep. So as you can see, guys, for me, I really like using tempo, especially when I have new beginners, because again, main reason I want to do that is I want to control their movement and I want them to build time under tension and to build motor control and mechanics of the movement.